note the disclaimer. Now, before I make a start to today's video, I'd like to introduce a good friend who will be joining me in producing sins for this case. All rise for the Honourable Captain Vader.
It's an honor to be here, sir. Thank you for having me.
Lovely to have you along for this one, mate. And another note that not only is this one I wanted to do anyway, but this will also be in tribute to Noriyuki Pat Morita, Rob Garrison, and Chad McQueen. With that out of the way, court is now in session.
Sweet! I'm sitting in the city of Newark, the state of New Jersey, the month of September, and reading in the first few seconds of the movie. Off to a great start.
Seriously? This is a great start for you? Seems like a misfire to us. Anyway. Padding the sin count.
Also, you're going to go this far to tell us where and when we are, but you're going to leave off the year.
So you've obviously already seen this movie before, right? Answer me this. Is the year this movie takes place important? If the answer is no, then that explains why they won't share that. I mean, hell, this movie is over 40 years old now, and I'd say it's timeless, so the time period doesn't really matter.
Does this movie benefit in any way by starting out in New Jersey and showing their journey to California? Could we not have opened with them already on the road, or unloading boxes at the new house?
No, we couldn't do that last thing, because then we would have missed the scene where Daniel meets the friend and invites him to the beach party where he meets Allie and Johnny, which is incredibly important for the plot of this film. You don't know how to movie properly.
California, here we come.
As Lucille sings Positions Our Destination, how has the bike already been changed to facing forward on top of the car when it was the other direction when they left Jersey just moments ago?
You do have a point there. That is a legitimate concern. However, you added a sings position sin at the start of it, even though if it wasn't there, we wouldn't know where the LaRussos were going. So for this, I will neither add or remove a sin.
Look at all this scenery they drove through on the way to the movie.
Everything wrong with the Karate Kid. Two people that are moving drive past beautiful scenery.
Is that vehicle really a manual transmission? You can't push start an automatic Oh, it. I guess the point is that they're poor and they have a shit car.
Yes, it's a manual, since Lucille later in the movie asks Allie if she can drive a stick shift, and said,
Put it to second. Let it roll. When I say pop it, pop it. No more Newark winters. I like winters, Ma.
Kids!
So you're sending a movie called Karate Kid for having a kid act like a kid. Right.
Hey, Freddie Fernandez, apartment 17.
I usually hate these kinds of forced meet cutes, but it's clear these two will become inseparable. And I can't wait to see how Freddie plays an intricate role in Daniel's life from here on out.
So you usually send movies for being unrealistic, right? And not all people who meet instantly become friends, right? Isn't this more realistic than just having them stay friends for the rest of the movie, let alone franchise?
Well, my mom got a job with some company out here.
That's why I cut the sleeves off this t-shirt, actually, to brag about my mom's job.
Jeremy manipulates dialogue cliché. Also, Jeremy doesn't understand how singlets work, or how warm California would be.
Please don't say anything about the pool. I will call first thing in the morning.
And say what? Sorry, Lucy, I don't care how much explaining you do. You aren't carrying your way to a usable pool in this situation.
Calling one of the sweetest moms ever, Karen.
Also, is she bringing one box in at a time and unpacking it before getting more? Everyone knows you bring all the boxes in first and then just leave them there until you need something. And then after a year or so, you move the 80% or so that's left to storage where you'll never touch it again. Have you ever even moved before?
Doesn't sound like you have though, Jeremy. Or you're just lazy. Because any time I've moved home, me and my parents always unpack as soon as we get settled in.
Left, then right, then inside from the left.
And then he proceeds to go right at the pool corner, then left into the hall, then double right to a door after the hallway. The old lady was wrong.
No, you dolt. She meant after the pool, it's left, then right at the end of the walkway, and inside, then on the left, since that first right is still going right. I know Christmas is months away, but I guess I'll have to get you a compass for it.
When are you gonna fix the faucet?
After.
After what?
After.
Man, I would break this lease instantly. This is not an apartment complex. It's a Willy Wonka prison of sadness.
Sinning Mr. Miyagi. That's worth a few extra.
What even are the rules here? The objectives? Are they just playing keep away?
And what if they are? You got a problem with that? They can't have fun in whatever way they want?
That boombox is melting for sure. If it were a hot dog, it would be charred as hell right now.
I disagree, since it might not actually be that close to the campfire, despite the perspective.
Holy shit, If that soccer ball is a foot to the right, it goes straight into that campfire and sends burning embers and coals straight into this group of high schoolers. We're a misplaced kick away from Elizabeth Shue catching a face full of fire and possibly ending her acting career, and that is definitely a sin.
Sure, that could have happened, but it didn't. So why is this a sin?
Time, man. Who's for woman?
Tommy's the best. But if you don't think I'm sinning you offering your friend a warm beer you pull from your pants, you just haven't been paying attention.
I don't think you were paying attention, since it looks more like he took it out from under his jacket instead of his pants. And even if he did, pockets exist.
Give me my radio. I said, give me my radio.
No one will be seated while the high school students who look like adults argue like 5-year-olds.
You think that's bad? Try listening to a grown-ass man complaining about movies and make surface-level observations like he's a child. You know who I'm talking about, Jeremy.
My favorite scene in this movie is when, in order to prove that Daniel needs karate lessons, the film has him worse at fighting than a tree as he just gets tripped over and over again.
This counts as sinning something you like, by the way.
Where'd you find this guy? Come on, let's go. Good guy.
And the Freddy storyline setup is complete. I can't wait to see how he comes to Daniel's defense later and totally redeems himself.
Jeremy seriously thinks it's a sin for some characters to not have plot resolutions, especially when it's such a minor character like this guy.
Somehow, these are eggs.
They still look more realistic than the eggs in Batman v Superman.
Oh no, the beach bully who gave me a black eye goes to the same school as me? Holy she goes here too? Has this movie ever been to Los Angeles?
Daniel is from New Jersey. He's not familiar with the landscape here, and this is obviously going to spook him seeing his bully and his crush there.
She has. Wasn't the beach just last night? Isn't this the next day? When did she have time to practice?
Off screen, either during a free period at school or after she got home. Typical Jeremy logic of if something isn't shown in the movie, it doesn't exist.
That'll be $2.50.
Making kids pay for lunch at school.
Hey, it's the 80s. Some kids had to do that unless they were poor.
Why would a karate champion put up a photo of him with a machine gun? I guess he's trying to look tough, but I would personally put up more pictures of me kicking if I were him.
You must have missed the army uniform he was wearing showing his dedication to the service during the Vietnam War. Hence why he runs his dojo like he's a drill sergeant.
Strike hard, no mercy, sir! I can't hear you!
He can't.
Jeremy yells at the screen cliche.
He has steak, broccoli, and either steak fries or potato skins at a place called the Orient Express. Is he drinking milk?
Jeremy points things out on the screen, cliche.
So Johnny and the gang saw Caruso eating dinner with his mom, and then they do what? Wait for him to leave and get all this way back before coming after him? It went from daylight to pitch dark, which takes at least a couple of hours. And they see this kid at school every day. This is the most turgid bully boner I've ever seen, and I've watched a lot of Stephen King movies.
So, Your Honor, want to say this one together?
Sure thing, Vader. Jeremy says boner.
That's not bullying. That's attempted murder. Holy shit.
Right, so much like with Biff from Back to the Future, Jeremy doesn't believe bullies can be homicidal. Got it. Also, Lee from CinemaSins has disproven you.
Look, people like to say this is attempted murder, but that's actually a grassy hill. Just because Daniel doesn't know how to take a fall, something they were specifically trying to teach him.
Here's your first lesson, how to take a fall!
And something you do need to learn in all martial arts doesn't make them attempted murderers. I'm mostly joking. My point is that they pushed him down a hill, not off a cliff, and it's absolutely something a bunch of bullies would have done in the 80s.
Ah, CinemaSins. The worthy hero of all movies.
That bike, I hate this bike. I hate this friggin' bike. This stupid bike.
Blaming your injuries on your bike instead of the fact that you just have a smarmy face that people just want to punch.
You're one to talk.
We gotta deal with this.
She tells Daniel he has to deal with this guy who has beaten him up twice and nearly killed him once.
Because this is a persistent issue. Have you never been bullied before?
Wipe your mind clean, everything but tree.
Easier said than done, Sensei. Have you never heard of Kristen Stewart? Or Chris Hemsworth?
They weren't famous until the 2000s, though. This joke might have worked better if you said Leah Thompson or Patrick Swayze. But then, this is just you objectifying people and yelling at the screen, so 15 sins.
Just how long into the night is Daniel spending here cutting this bonsai? It is a school night, right?
Yes, it is. Which is why his mom comes in shortly after to tell him to come back so he can go to bed. You know, a scene that you conveniently aren't showing.
Me?
Giving someone a gift they have to keep alive.
So apparently it's a sin for people to receive pets as gifts? Dude, don't you own a cat?
Also, Jeremy doesn't seem to have houseplants. Maybe someone needs to get him a Japanese peace lily for Christmas.
I don't have a costume anyway.
No worries, this gardener repairman just happens to have a hoop, shower curtain, and nozzle all conveniently hanging up right behind you.
Pointing out things on the screen again.
Never danced in a shower before.
The f What kind of monster has never danced in the shower?
The sensible kind of person who doesn't want to slip and injure themselves.
What goes around comes around.
What goes around, goes around, goes around.
Jeremy sings in a video cliche.
How do we underscore that Johnny is evil? We have him roll a joint. Marijuana is evil. Evil.
This is the 80s, man. Drug use has been heavily criminalized by this point, and pot was even seen as a gateway drug.
As they chase him into the night, I'd like to remind you that he lives all the way out in shameful Reseda. And even though he goes to school with Richie Riches, he will now run from school to home in a very short time. Everything in this movie is walking or bike riding distance away.
Thanks for reminding us, but how is that a sin?
You couldn't leave well enough alone.
After we beat you up and nearly killed you twice, you couldn't just continue existing outside our periphery.
Yeah, I've seen that exact behavior where people will do certain things to other people and then they get shocked when the other people respond back. It's stupid, I'll grant you that, but it's also realistic.
Man, when you look back at this fight choreography from a modern perspective, you end up both ashamed at the simplicity and amazed at Pat Morita's agility.
So you list one good thing and one bad thing. If I were doing this video, I would have just moved on and kept the sin counter the same. Instead, CinemaSins adds a sin, making me wonder what the point of praising Pat Morita's agility was.
Phew. Those beat up bad guys will never find out where Daniel lives now.
Then it's a good thing to make a deal with their teacher to stop messing with Daniel for the next 2 months the next day, isn't it?
I realize the bullies have been after him a while, but has anyone considered that this particular beating was related to his Chargers jersey?
No, because that wasn't the reason. Daniel sprayed water from a bathroom sink and hose onto Johnny as revenge. That's why they attacked him.
How come you didn't tell me?
Tell you what,
That you do karate?
you never ask.
I hate this response with the hatred of 1,000 supernovas who just got cut off in traffic while listening to an unskippable ad on Spotify. How is the person who needs to know the information supposed to know you have the information if you haven't indicated in any way that it is information you might have?
This implies that Daniel needed to know that Mr. Miyagi knows karate. And let me just say, no. What reason would Daniel need to know that before this moment? I also highly doubt that Daniel will want to get Mr. Miyagi involved in a bully situation.
No such thing, bad student, only bad teacher.
Maybe in karate this is true, but in 4th grade...
And let me stop you right there. As you say, in karate, this is true. So your story about 4th grade is completely irrelevant to this movie and video. Skip!
Daniel-san,
What?
karate here. Karate here. Karate never here.
In the spleen?
No, dumbass, he was talking about the karate belt.
Ask one more small request.
Make it fast.
Ask leave boy alone to train.
You're a pushy little bastard, ain't you?
But wasn't that the whole point? How does this even need to be addressed when the entire agreement was that the tournament would be a replacement for the daily scuffles?
You don't think they would still fight Daniel before then? Johnny definitely would, considering he's pissed at Daniel for stealing Allie from him, and Daniel sprayed water on him at the Halloween party. And I'm sure he'd want to make up for being beat up by Mr. Miyagi last night.
I say you do. No question.
Honestly, this part would have me asking a handful of questions before going any further, because this is kind of a nutty pact to make Daniel agree to.
And you there, Jeremy, have already failed Mr. Miyagi's class, because this is supposed to help Daniel train for the tournament. If he constantly asked questions, he wouldn't improve. Now, how does that sound familiar?
I don't know here. The movie makes a big deal about Miyagi having Daniel do menial tasks early in training, only to reveal that he's taught him karate moves, but he's so specific with how Daniel should move his hands during these menial tasks. I feel like it would have been fairly obvious to Daniel that even if these tasks were annoying, he was still being taught karate movements.
Hold up. Am I to believe that you would have figured this out instantly?
You do realize you're under oath here, Jeremy. You could be on the hook for perjury here.
Must be take a worm for a walk week.
Did Tommy just get all the best lines, or did Rob Garrison just own them so much that he made them work? I mean, I still have to sin it.
And I'm going to stop you right there, because you're once again sinning something you like.
What am I gonna do, moan and groan?
Anybody else would.
Yeah, who'd listen anyway?
Me.
Did she just say she wants to listen to him moan and groan? Does that mean what I think it means, or am I just making stuff up to keep this movie interesting during the hour or so between any kind of kid karateing?
I mean, I get it. A lot of people fell in love with Elizabeth Shue back in the day, but you're definitely making stuff up. Also, potentially inappropriate comment cliche.
You have a full arcade and goddamn water slides, but you name your spot golf and stuff?
Is it really a sin if this is how it is in real life? Because golf and stuff is a real place, and they have both. Actually, they don't have water slides anymore, but remember that this movie came out in the 80s when they used to.
Huh. Unfortunate.
These are some of the slowest go-karts I've ever laid eyes on.
If they were any faster, there'd be more crashes and deaths. Is that really what you want, Jeremy?
Man who catch fly with chopstick accomplish anything.
I once chopped my stick with my fly. Does that count?
I don't think so, Tim.
This rubbing my hands together somehow gives me healing powers is the bullshitest bullshit to ever bullshit.
Except he's not healing him. He's simply relieving the tension and pain so he can move. Notice when he does the same thing at the end of this film with Daniel's leg, he still limps.
Bullshit.
Oh, for the love of... Not removing the sin for this and calling it bullshit. That's worth a few extra.
As Daniel tries to learn balance via ocean waves, you have to admit, Miyagi's methods may be unorthodox, even borderline deadly, but they certainly are cinematic.
So you sin it. Impeccable logic, Jeremy. Too bad it's flawed.
What was that you doing on those stumps over there?
Called crane technique.
Also known as basic front kick, where you leave your hands unable to defend and hinder your balance unnecessarily, but sure, crane technique works.
Because he's supposed to look like a crane there, and it's primarily a one-on-one move, like in the tournament and in the second movie against Chosen.
The movie is at least 60% training, and I think I'm starting to actually wish this movie had a training montage instead. See what you've done to me, Karate Kid? I don't even recognize myself anymore.
Why do you hate training montages anyway? Like, those are probably the best parts of Rocky IV, just saying.
Not a romantic comedy film if there isn't some massively stupid misunderstanding that could easily be solved by a 5-minute conversation.
Oh, for crying out loud. Like I keep saying, Jeremy, conflict happens for a reason. This is to build tension in Daniel and Ali's relationship, while also making Daniel more doubtful of his chances in the tournament.
Daniel Miyagi. Yes, sir. Regret to inform wife, son, complication of birth.
This movie just got fucking dark out of nowhere. Go back to the soccer and the video gamey go-kart happies.
Complication, but no doctor come. Run the free, I'm afraid. No doctor come.
F*** it. I'm taking the sin off for this performance.
Which wouldn't have happened if the movie didn't get dark out of nowhere. This sin removal just feels off coming right after that last sin.
We regret to inform you that on November 2nd, 1944...
Why is he reading this out loud?
He's not. He's speaking slightly above a whisper, and Miyagi's already out cold, also yelling at the screen.
I wasn't saying I wanted a training montage in addition to the 50 minutes of real-time training. Careful what you wish for, I guess.
Well, if you make a wish in a shower, it will come true. Okay, maybe not. But still, you're looking a gift horse in the mouth.
You're the best friend I ever had.
This is both incredibly touching and terribly sad.
Again, perfect opportunity for a sin off, but you didn't do it.
Dear God, he is swallowing her mouth. Man, the 80s really did suck face, huh?
Oh, don't act like you didn't do this with your college girlfriend. Oh, wait!
Daniel, look, everything above your waist is a point.
Ah, sudden karate expert girlfriend.
But it's not sudden. Remember, Ali is Johnny's ex-girlfriend, and it's very likely she's been to tournaments that Johnny participated in. Ali most likely learned the rules from there.
Listen, you can't show us that move and then not have this guy win the tournament. Screw your underdog story. Clearly, this guy is the best around. If ever there's a sequel to this movie, I want it to be about Danny Duvall and the Locust Valley Karate Club. What's that? There is a sequel. 2 sequels. And 2 reboots? And 5 seasons and counting of a follow-up TV show? Are we sure this movie is that good?
Yes, it's that good. Also, there is only one reboot, that being the 2010 film with Jaden Smith and Jackie Chan. You know, a movie you sinned already? There's also a terrible spin-off movie called The Next Karate Kid, and it turns out the reboot is actually canon to this movie according to the most recent film, Karate Kid Legends. I know you made this video in 2022 and Legends came out in 2025, but I'm sure I'll get comments if I don't mention that.
Also, Jeremy, there's 6 seasons of Cobra Kai.
I never thought I'd get this far.
Make 2 of us.
Terrible coaching.
Miyagi's never done this before. His previous matches have always been for defense or as a fight to the death.
Cool, so we've established that kicks to the face don't count for a point. You know, in case it ever comes up again.
Are you sinning foreshadowing?
Under Rule 31-2, Daniel LaRusso has 15 minutes to return to the ring.
Some excellent tension-building exposition going on right now from the ring announcer. Honestly, that guy should get a raise for knowing the exact rule number off the top of his head, if for nothing else.
He most likely studied the rule book, unlike you, can't even proofread your scripts. Also saying something you like.
Johnny grabs Daniel's hurt leg and literally damages it even further in front of an entire audience of apparent human beings. Jesus Johnny is irredeemable. Sure hope they don't come behind this movie with a show or limited series that redeems this fucking dick.
How is it that this video is nearly 4 years old and already badly aged by 4 years? Cobra Kai would have already been in its 4th season by the time we put this out.
Kick to the face! No point. Replay the point. Lawrence wins. Allie leaves Daniel for being a loser. LaRusso moves back to Newark, where he spends the rest of his life drinking away the pain of life and limb until he dies from heart failure at 52, the end.
Oof, someone's been reading Barney Stinson's Karate Kid fanfiction. But then we see face contact in the montage for the round robins, and none of that was warned, challenged, or disqualified. And then we basically just say the rules were different in 1984.
You're alright, LaRusso!
The fucking hell? Is this a joke?
No. Or at least not until Cobra Kai, when Johnny goes back on his word and reignited the rivalry with Daniel. Thanks for lending your thoughts on this one, Vader. I might even bring you back on for when I do the second movie.
Ooh, I love that.
And with that, court is adjourned. Be sure to leave any more suggestions for CinemaSins sins down below, and I will see you all in the next video.